I'm Tessa Broad, and this is my presentation for Management 106. And today I'm going to be talking to you about PSA, the bacterial infection in kiwi fruit. I chose PSA as my topic to talk to you about today because coming from Gisborne, kiwi fruit is a very commonly grown due to the right climate and having the resources necessary. PSA broke out in Bay of Plenty, North Island in 2010. The discovery of PSA in New Zealand was originally thought to cost the New Zealand kiwi fruit industry up to $885 million. The market then crashed and dead vines forced growers to rip out entire crops of gold kiwi fruit. And when in season, this could be worth up to $6 million. The price of orchards then plummeted to the value of bare land. PSA is not harmful to humans, animals, or even any other plants, just kiwi fruit. It is easily spread by airborne spores, heavy rain, intense winds, and it is also spread by footwear, vehicles, and machinery used on the orchards. To avoid spreading PSA to any non-contaminated orchards, a lot of serious measures were taken to ensure there was no cross-contamination. Vehicles and machinery had to be inspected and thoroughly cleaned before and after coming into the orchard, along with footwear and clothing. PSA caused lasting economic effects on the industry. One example of these effects is Craig Jeffries, who owned a 16-acre orchard near Te Puke. Before PSA struck, Jeffries was producing up to 209,000 trays of the Hayward variety green kiwi fruit a year. At the same time, he was also trialling a new variety of kiwi fruit for kiwi fruit company Zespri. It was this block of kiwi fruit where Jeffries first discovered PSA symptoms. He had been led to believe that the Hayward kiwi fruit was a lot more resilient to PSA, but the disease didn't take long before his green kiwi fruit had become contaminated as well. All of a sudden, his output was down to 40,000 trays, and Jeffries was unable to sustain his debt. The decision was then made to cut his losses and sell up, rather than to borrow more money and put his home at risk. Before PSA, his orchard had been valued at over $4.5 million. He was lucky to get just over $2 million for it once it was contaminated. Jeffries is now one of 212 growers across New Zealand who have come together to sue the government for negligence over the PSA outbreak. Among the 212 growers, it was a combined total of losses to be over $376 million. Evidence has proven it was a biosecurity error that allowed the disease to get into the country. Scientists from the University of Otago's Department of Biochemistry discovered evidence that the bacteria had begun its journey in China before reaching Italy in 2008 and Chile and here in New Zealand in 2010. Te Puke was the first place to be contaminated, and from there the spores spread to the rest of the country. Many different companies and organisations have come together to help the kiwi fruit industry by putting in investments. Along with these investments, the government, they had requested $25 million in funding from the government to be matched dollar for dollar for research. Although at the end of the day, finding a way through the outbreak and getting back to profitability was always the end goal.